Welcome to Java, and thank you very kindly for joining me. It's May 14th, 2025. It is also Wednesday, and kind of a very long day, more of a continuation of yesterday, if you would, for me. There has been a lot going on, not just geopolitically, but also a lot of other things happening within these markets and behind the scenes. So these three phases here are the new starters of Middle East tech. We're going to talk about that in a bit. It is Wednesday, so we're going to have a Discord chat this evening if you would like to join us at 5 p.m. Eastern Time after the markets are closed and after hopefully Greg's live if he's able to get one out tonight. So with this, there's been a lot of censorship lately. I've had a lot of people asking why I've banned them, and it's not me. I've only banned a couple of spammers and scammers, if you will, trying to get cryptocurrency from other people here. So at any rate, if you think I've banned it, very likely I haven't. So I want to talk about the fear greed meter right now is almost at 70. As we spoke about yesterday, pushed a little deeper into the greed territory. We've got more retailers jumping in here. They are pulling money out of the safe haven assets. Those include bonds. So we're watching yields drop actually this morning, which is very interesting, which is showing a shift back into them, more buying of them. But yesterday, a lot flowed out of those and out of gold into the markets. So we are watching a little bit of wavering, and I think we're going to have a consolidation, solid chop, which means it's going to kind of stay within a range probably, unless there is headline news. We are looking forward to producer price index PPI tomorrow. Now, this is the Fed's favored inflation gauge. Now, the Fed moves on a couple of dependencies. They have two mandates. First is jobs and employment, and the second is price stability. So, inflation, while it's been held down, that kind of leaves room for them to be able to cut. So, if they cut, it would boost this market more. But if they don't, depending on what they say and how they frame this, because we've got a lot of Fed speakers today, that could make a difference. Now we've got China, they could make an announcement at any time. We are on a current 90-day pause, couple of days into it now. So that could shift the market significantly. We've also got equities, which is stocks, and corporate credit for businesses versus government bonds. Now, money goes where it can make the most yield. So people are going into riskier assets of these equities. Private equity, there's major bubble. I'll talk about that in a bit because we're watching some serious distortions going on between the bond market, watching these yields, the currency markets, and then also where it flows into the stock market from the United States or the European market. So let's talk a little bit about this. As I said, the 10-year yield pulling back a bit. It has been spiking lately, and that means that there's been a sell-off of US treasuries. Now, US dollar weaker, and it's set up to continue to weaken. It's got a short-term period here. Might gain a strength for a little bit over the short term, meaning week to a couple of weeks. But the long term, it's not looking good for it. We've got cryptocurrencies still above $103,000, although they're pulling back a bit or quite a bit overbought. So you could say this is due for a bit of a pullback. Now, with all of the green that happened yesterday, some of the major banking firms, Goldman Sachs, Barclays, JP Morgan, walking back their forecast for US recession after this 90-day truce. And they're saying that there would be fewer Fed cuts in 2025. Well, the Fed said was talking two. They were talking three or four. So I think it's a little more realistic to be talking about probably two, because that's what the Fed said, and that's kind of where it's headed. So stock market where it is right now is actually quite level, barely green. We've got the futures saying it's going to continue a bit weaker. So with this is why I say between these two and the flow of money that's happening at the moment with Asian markets, is that it's probably going to stay range bound today unless one of these large announcements is made. So a little bit more towards probability favors slight higher positive side, but it's looking like chop. So don't get chopped up today. We've got the markets calendar. 3 Fed speakers, no reports coming out. So it's all about how they're going to frame this. For the most part, they're all saying that they're going to pause and wait for more data. What does that mean? Well, we'll see PPI tomorrow morning prior to the market open. That could be a mover. And then 8:40 in the morning, we're hearing from Jerome Powell himself. A couple of other reports, but those are going to be the expected movers. Now, there are also headlines that have been playing in this. I've got to watch those also. Now, we were watching how the Saudi meeting for innovation and investment forum is going. They had the Optimus Prime robot out there, and they're talking about all of these hopes to start more investment and become the tech sector for the Middle East and for globally that side of the planet, really, is what they're looking for. Now, all of the upper tech CEOs are present at this. So, in the midst of this, we're getting the news. Microsoft is laying off approximately 3% of their workforce and moving into artificial intelligence. Now, the more important part of this is that they're not laying off lower end, they are laying off management and upper end. So, this is kind of a key part here. Now, I'd like to shift a little bit to policy in the United States. There is SALT. So, these are basically taxes, local taxes that you pay. State and local taxes is what SALT stands for, trying to not tax tips and auto loans. And I don't know why there's even a question about this, but the fact that you can tax that you already have to pay is absolutely ridiculous. Uh, anyway, moving forward, I'd like to talk for a moment about the private credit risk. Now, private credit is kind of more of a shadow banking side. And why do they say this? Is because it is unregulated. It's not coming from formal institutions such as banks. It is for any loan purpose they would like. And a lot of this is backing the buy now, pay laters. So as these loans get more complex, complexity breeds risk, higher risk loans. I think these are very similar to the COVID-19 fraud loans, but on massive steroids because the amount in these loans in this private credit risk is truly unknown. Not only is it unknown, but also the derivatives on these. So we hear also from more and more of as these are kind of being found out in a roundabout way because they're not on the books, so to speak. There are more and more red flags coming up. More of the larger financial analysts are beginning to speak about this, very likely being one of the largest threats coming out, much larger than actually even United States default on the debt, because the Treasury could print as needed. And if you got private credit implosion, a lot of this is backed by absolutely nothing, and the amount of fraud in this is just off the charts, and also the terms are not regulated at all. So enough of that for now. We've got the Crown Prince again launching a Saudi artificial intelligence firm called Humane, led by ex-Aramco digital CEO. Now they're shifting away from oil and they're going high end into tech. There is a deal that was met where the United States will be selling them the advanced microprocessors, NVIDIA, and AMD can also sell to them. So they're going to be getting some of the highest United States tech at their disposal. So they could start with their artificial intelligence and forward technology. So Trump also met with that gentleman who is on the first page, the Syrian president. Now, He's urging him to establish ties with Israel. If you don't remember him or don't happen to know who he is the former leader of Al Qaeda. Yes, the terrorist group. Now, it's very interesting if you look into the back end of this. This was all during uh, Assad's reign. So there's a lot more to this as well. However, trying to establish ties with Israel, this is a lot more going forward as far as all of these agreements and more touting these Abraham Accords that he's been kind of pushing now. Saudi declined signing in with these. However, he's saying now that they will join in their own time, and we'll see how this works out. Now, I've got Macron open to stationing French nuclear weapons into other European nations. So, kind of moving backwards with this, but we're watching a major shift in all of the weaponry because the kinetic wars themselves are shifting. Now, as one halts, we can expect another to either be extended, continued, or enhanced. So, war is what's making the economy go round. We've got $1 billion in Bitcoin got pulled out of Coinbase in a day, as analysts are now warning of a supply shock. Now, this is because as that asset price surged, everyone FOMOed in, started purchasing this. However, this is showing what a squeeze would happen and how these assets are going to become massively distorted and the types of things that we can look forward to coming quite soon. Now, we are on this temporary 90-day hold, but anything could happen with the headlines that are going forward because there still in the economy are weak fundamentals that are underpinning all of these. And there are numerous economists that are still warning that even with all of this, that there's still some serious risk. For the moment, it's kind of at a level. Probabilities, I don't like either direction that they're headed at the moment, but for the longer term, still massive caution and dollar decline. We're going to be seeing this in inflation. So inflation is to continue until there is massive deflation, which is also called depression. So shifting to this is the ARB scanning WorldCoin. So OpenAI, this is the project world. If you don't recognize the symbol, this is Sam Altman, the one where he had the iris scanners. So he's been banned in several countries because of this over privacy, and then having your biometrics because you can't change your retinal scans. So facing a little bit of headwinds in the United States, he's trying to open in some major cities. If it opens in yours, I strongly suggest you decline until you really look into this. I have no plans on doing this at all. We've got a lot of breaches of data going on, and you can never get this back. So I just wanted to warn. This is coming out in the United States, I believe Austin, Miami, New York, San Francisco. So just look into this first, please. So with this, I wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you kindly for joining me again. We will have Discord. If you don't mind, please like this video and try to share it. We are in a bit of a decline here on the channel, so I truly appreciate all of you that are here and help out. So until I see you again, my friends, stay free.